What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show powered by BetUS. Today, the Portland Trail Blazers head into San Francisco and lose to the Warriors 130 to 120. I'm going to have to recall Eric because I did not check before this stream. His webcam wasn't showing up, and we want to see his beautiful face. And then we'll recap this game. All right, there we go. All right, now we can begin as normal. I did not check the Skype call before this stream. The webcam was not showing your face. All right, so Portland loses today. They lose a game on the play, and the Mavericks win. The Blazers now 5 games back of the 10th seed. Not looking good in that regard, but Brooklyn won today, and Chicago won today, and San Antonio choked today, but could win the next game. They play Dallas again. So the Blazers could be making up ground in the tank race. We're going to take a look at the tanking picture. We're also going to talk about what went right and what went wrong in this game. Avdija returns from his injury and he shines. A season-high 34 points for him. Donovan Clingan, Anthony Simons, also bright spots for the Portland Trail Blazers, but they could not defend Golden State tonight at all. They give up 130 points to the Warriors, who are now 12-2 with Jimmy Butler, playing some fantastic basketball, and they look like they might be a dark horse contender after the Jimmy Butler trade. We're going to take a look at all the team stats. We're going to recap this game. We're going to talk about every player as we normally do. We're also going to take a look at a couple things on BetUS, and that's going to be our post-game stream for tonight. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
I'm good. I would have loved to have a camera on like a sports book in Vegas with some people with big money on this game at the end. For those that don't know, the spread was 12. Golden State was favored by. They were up 11 with the ball, seemingly about to run out the clock. But Jimmy Butler takes an ill-advised three, which Denny gets all pissed off about. It goes in. They're up 13, seemingly about to cover the spread now, and Anthony shoots an FU3 at the end and hits it to cover the spread back for the Blazers. So whether you had Golden State or Portland in this one, if you bet money, those last few seconds must have been insane if you had like significant money on this game.
Yeah, insane, bad beat. Although, the last few seconds, Jimmy Butler shoots a shot with 10 seconds left. The shot clock was at 2. That's fine. That's whatever. Avdija kind of was like, what the hell, and looked over towards the bench. And Steve Kerr started yelling at Denny. Which is just a little petty. Like, why are you – who cares, man? Just Denny did not react that strongly for you to start yelling, right? But Steve Kerr sometimes likes to yell. We've seen it before. And right after the end of the game, Chauncey still goes up to Steve Kerr seconds after Steve Kerr was just yelling at one of his players and dabs him up like everything's cool. How many times do we see Chauncey dapping up opposing players and smiling with them after the Blazers get their ass kicked? For a culture-setting head coach, that's all about pride and competitiveness. I don't know. Some of the stuff right after games rubs me the wrong way, although maybe I'm nitpicking there with Chauncey, man. But, like if I'm an opposing coach and an opposing coach is yelling at my player, I'm not seconds later just going to dab up that coach like he wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, don't talk to my guy, man. That's the type of attitude I would like Chauncey to have. Maybe that's a little old school, or maybe that's not old school. I don't know what that is, but that's just my preference, coaches aren't supposed to yell at other teams' players like that. So even though Denny shouldn't have taken issue with it, I didn't really like that from Steve Kerr, and I didn't like that Chauncey didn't care. So just to get that out of the way.
Well, my thing with Chauncey is if he's going to be friendly with everyone after the game, why did he make the comments last year about, I think it was Jeremy and someone else laughing on the bench about something like, don't say that if you're going to be that exact same way. It's just really hypocritical.
Yeah. I mean, there was, I forget who it was. I think it was Caruso or someone there's just games where we'll get absolutely embarrassed, our teeth kicked in, and after games, he's just all smiling with other players, and it's like, man, this dude really likes being liked. He really likes being liked. You know, that might be his favorite thing about coaching. You know, I can't speak for him, but it's like, man, your team loses by 18 against a team missing their entire starting lineup, and you're trying to fight and claw for a play, and then you're supposedly trying to coach for your coaching career that's on the line right now. I don't know. I feel like you should be a little bit frustrated losing to a team missing their entire starting lineup like they did against OKC. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. If you don't have a problem with it, whatever. It's not really that meaningful. It's just something that me personally, I take a little issue with. But the Blazers tonight played a basketball game. They played a basketball game. Let's take a look at the team stats from this one. The Blazers, let me pull it up here real quick. So the Blazers give up 53% shooting from the field and 51% shooting from three to the Warriors. Just abysmal defense. Also gave up 12 offensive rebounds. You remember before the game I said, you know what, I feel like the Warriors are going to score a lot of points but also find a way to get 12 or 13 offensive rebounds. Well, there it is, 12 offensive rebounds. This is one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league the Blazers played. So even though they were making more than half their shots from both 2 and 3, the Blazers still gave up 12 offensive rebounds. Not good. They did get 15 of their own, which kind of kept them in this game. The Blazers never really made it super challenging for the Warriors down the stretch. It was kind of like, oh, the Blazers cut it to 2 or 4 points there near the end of the third, start of the fourth, and then the Warriors stretched it back out to 10 with Steph Curry on the bench. Just felt like the Warriors were kind of in control this entire game. The Blazers got very turnover happy, were very sloppy in this game. 19 turnovers, a lot of them in the second half when they started to really fall apart. Denny had a few as well as he played. And the Blazers, I mean, you had a really good three-point shooting night if you're the Blazers. Offensively, you should have won this game. Anytime the Blazers put 120 on the board, they should be winning those games, even if they're playing a good team, because this team is a better defensive roster and a team that prides itself on defense. And when they had that 10-1 streak, they were playing really, really good defense against some okay teams. But, you know, it's funny. You see a game where the Blazers shoot 43% from three, 18 for 42. But you still lose by double digits, man. I mean, that's kind of the recipe is the Blazers like to lose by 10 on the road against good teams. It doesn't matter who those good teams have. The Blazers just struggle to beat 500 teams, and we discussed this on last night's postgame show. The Blazers, since the new year, have only 4 wins against teams that were currently above 500 yesterday. And this is another one of those above 500 teams that the Blazers just cannot hang with. You know, I think they're still a year away, maybe 2 years away from being able to consistently be competitive against above 500 teams. Because they've just really struggled, especially lately, to keep these games close and to be competitive against winning teams. You know, they did it against Cleveland. That was the best game recently against a good team. Of course, they didn't have Donovan Mitchell. The Warriors at full strength tonight, you know what? I expected the Blazers to lose by double digits. No, no Jonathan Kuminga, but they have Steph. They have Jimmy Butler. They've been really good since they got Jimmy Butler. So it's not even anything about being frustrated with this game or feeling like the Blazers underachieved in this game. They're just still a little bit away from being able to be competitive against a team playing this well, and that is this good.
Also, we mentioned this, but it was basically a schedule loss. Anytime you're playing Golden State, who likes to get out and run, they can turn the game on a dime in the blink of an eye. They're down scoring a lob play or something after a turnover. And, this isn't an excuse or anything, but to have to go on a 7-game road trip, come back, have one day off, and then have a back-to-back with a road game in Golden State the second night of the back-to-back, that's just a brutal stretch for any team. And once again, not an excuse or anything, but I thought the Blazers played fairly well in this game. I don't think it's like, oh man, we didn't show up tonight or anything like that. And I think they gave it their best chance, and it wasn't meant to be against this team. Would have liked to seen them seeing how it went a little bit better rested, but that's the breaks. That's what happens sometimes with the schedule. And I thought they had competed their butts off in this game, and they made Golden State have to finish it at the end. Like they didn't give up or anything. So um, I'm actually kind of okay with this. Like I felt like there was a lot of good things they did. Obviously, they got a little sloppy at times, but when you're tired and playing a team like Golden State, that's going to happen. And so I think overall, this is the kind of game that you can still, not necessarily a moral victory, but the kind of game you can build upon if you're trying to set a culture and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm almost all the way there with you. I do think the Blazers have not been doing a good enough job covering the 3-point line, especially with role players. And the role player today, of course, against us, the role player today was GP 2 weeks. Good old GP 2 weeks, 11 for 16, 4 for 6 from 3, 26 points, career high in 28 minutes, plus 14 off the bench for him. Yeah. How many of those threes were wide open? Completely wide open, Eric. At least a couple of them, and it felt like he got really easy shots, really good looks, and I already know what the narrative is going to be after this game. It's just like, yeah, Gary Payton II, he just had the best game of his career, the career high. And it took a career high from GP2 to beat the Blazers, man. But it's like, all right, at what point do you say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be giving up career highs to role players like this? You gave up a career high to Derek White. You gave up a career high to Peyton Pritchard. You just gave up a career high to Gary Payton II. At what point is it like, all right, maybe it's something that we're doing that's letting these guys have a really easy time scoring points that they don't normally have against all other teams in the league. That's why he's never had a 26-point game before. And yeah, he's not the best 3-point shooter, but he's capable of making a 3-point shot. And there was a 3 where he had literally all day, nobody within 20 feet, nobody running out on him. It was basically like a warm-up practice shot. He had all day, and he makes it. And it's like, well, you don't want to give up threes that are that wide open to some of these guys. I understand the game plan is going to be to try and take away Steph, let a guy like GP2 shoot. But, man, sometimes the Blazers just feel like they overdo it, where it's not like you really slowed down Steph Curry a ton. He had 24 points on 14 shots. I guess you stopped him from getting off the amount of shots he normally gets. But he's averaging 24 points per game on the season. You give up 24. So he had a typical night, and you let other guys go off. So it's like, it'd be one thing if, man, Steph Curry, he only got up 9 shots, only had 12 points, and GP2 went off because of that. But it's always nights where it's like, all right, Steph Curry did what he normally does this season, and you let GP2 get some wide open threes. And yeah, he's not the best shooter, but you gotta guard him. And then there is a couple Buddy Hield threes where it's like, man, you got to do a better job stepping out, fighting over screens, and not letting him walk off screens for 3-point shots. So listen, Buddy Hield hit a few contested threes. And Golden State in this game hit a few contested threes where it was like, man, there's nothing much more you can do. That was a great contest. There was one where Scoot sprinted across the entire floor, and I thought almost blocked a 3, right? So there was some good defensive possessions. I would just like them to tighten up a little bit more on role players. Yes, they're role players, but the NBA's getting more skilled, and you don't just want to give warm-up shots up to guys, even if it's somebody like GP 2 weeks. So, he goes 4 for 6. He's not such a bad shooter that you should dare him to make wide open threes.
Yeah, Tori. Aaron Wiggins, we know, a terrible game. He only got his second highest of his career against us. So, he had 30. But he had a career high earlier in the year against the Kings. So, at least we held him under his career high that game.
Yeah, I will say GP2 has been struggling from 3 this year. He's 25%. Last year he's 36%. For his career, he's 33%. I get it, but I don't know. He's having a down year shooting the ball. He was 36% last year, right? So I don't know. At some point, it's like this dude's already hit a couple of threes. Maybe we shouldn't dare him to shoot wide open threes. Just look at what Boston did to Jabari Walker. They did the same thing, and Jabari Walker was 6 for 6 from 3. These are NBA players. At some point, it's like, man, you can't just let guys have all day to shoot.
assassin Jabari Walker strikes
He's a
again
sniper
tonight.
now. He's a sniper now. So, I mean, that's my only nitpicky thing. I get it. I get trying to live and die with GP2 week shooting threes. Trust me, I fully get it. It's just like he makes them, and it's like they just made shots, but they were wide open shots, and I'm just tired of that from a team that's supposed to be a good defense. If you're a bad defense and you have to like pick what you give up because you can't cover it all because you don't defend well, all right, fine, but I guess I just hold this defense to a little higher standard because that's supposed to be their identity. That's supposed to be what they do well. So I hold them to the standard of, all right, don't give wide open warm-up shots up to guys in the NBA. It's the NBA. Like, these guys are in the league for a reason. And they're all really, really good.
Yeah, it's tough too when you lose at the 3-point line, giving up a higher percentage and 3 more threes on 1 less attempt, and then also lose points in the paint. So you couldn't stop them in the paint either.
Yeah.
So it's just a bad combination. But
you didn't really stop anything. You didn't take away anything.
We've always been jealous of the way the Warriors move without the ball and get their shots. So I mean, they showed it all tonight. The way they can. All their guys move without the ball. It's really, I mean, if you like free-flowing basketball and stuff and you want to see an example of how it could work at its peak, watching this Warriors team was, I mean, I wouldn't call it fun because I wanted the Blazers to win, but like it's really nice looking aesthetically.
Yeah, it's good basketball. And they play that way even with Steph on the floor. Everybody makes it out like, oh, it's because they have Steph Curry. They still effectively move the ball and move players without him on the floor. Obviously, they're not as good, but that's their identity offensively, right? And it's made some mediocre role players look better than they actually are. If you remember Ian Clark, for example, right? Even Eric Paschall for a year. Whatever happened to him? So... yeah, I mean, that's the type of offense I would like to see the Blazers try and run a little bit more of in the half court and just get moving, get players in space, make the reads easier because the Blazers got sloppy in this game. But also, you know, with these 19 turnovers, it's like how much of it is them driving and trying to force a play because that's their only option? It's what we talked about last night. You know, it's not like they're running structured offense where it's like, all right, you come off the screen. If you have a shot, shoot it. If you have a lane, drive it. If not, this is your next read. And if that's not there, then this is your next read, right? Where it's like, all right, you just come off, make a read, make the you know, either shoot, drive, or pass. For the Blazers, it's like, I got to find a way past this guy. Okay, I collapsed the defense. I got to thread the needle to a big man, even though the defense is completely collapsed on me, and then it gets tipped. You know what I mean? You see the difference? Like, it feels like the reads are clear cut. And listen, Golden State had some turnovers in this game, but sometimes I wish it was a little bit easier on the Blazers players to set up teammates where it wasn't a situation where they had to isolate, go downhill, collapse multiple defenders, then find a way to pass out of that. Golden State instead gets guys going downhill at the rim a lot of times in space, which forces rotations, and then that player, before he gets collapsed upon, is making the next kickout pass or making the next play, and the pass is a lot easier. So that's just the difference between a stagnant offense and a motion offense. The Warriors run one of the best motion offenses in the league. And they'll live with 18 turnovers because they shoot 53% from the field and 51% from three. So they'll live with 18 turnovers. They shot the ball great. They put up 130 on the board. So just something for the Blazers offense to aspire to, probably under a new coach, to do a little bit more of that, because I do think it would make things a little bit easier on guys that are forced to isolate too much. And that's why I don't really criticize players a whole lot for isolating too much, because oftentimes that's kind of what they're asked to do in this Blazer offense. But, you know, the offense was pretty good tonight, and there was some good things from a lot of good role players that we're going to be able to break down. So, you know, this was an okay loss. Listen, you're not dreaming of a play-in still, right, Eric? Because I know you were the leader of the play-in bandwagon, right?
No, but you know, as we got closer to it, I mean, now that we screwed up the tank, like I wanted them to go for it, but like we knew they weren't going to. We've said that many times on the show, so I don't know. I don't know. We're in this weird spot where it doesn't. It. I mean, I guess it gets us a slightly better percentage possibly if we lose these games, but it's not really going to matter too much whether we win or lose the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the Blazers on the 7-game homestand would have to win like 5 games in order to have a chance. And they play 2 tanking teams, so there's 2 wins. The other 5 games are against the Knicks, the Grizzlies, the Nuggets, the Celtics, and the Cavaliers. So out of those 5 teams, you got to find a way to beat 3 of them. And then obviously not find a way to screw up against the Raptors or the Wizards at home. Is that doable for this team? I mean, it's not impossible, but it's extremely unlikely. It's extremely unlikely. And then you still assume Dallas will find a way to maybe win a game or 2 like they did today against the Spurs, and you still be a couple games out. Here's the thing. I don't even think Dallas is going to be the 10th seed at this point. I think it's going to be Phoenix. Phoenix barely lost by 2 tonight against the Grizzlies. They have been playing better basketball. So, I mean, how are you going to catch up to that team? I don't know. But you're 5 games out of the 10th seed right now, man. You're 5 games out of the 10th seed. The Mavs are 500. The Blazers are 10 games below 500. So it's a tall order. It's very, very unlikely to happen. So with a loss like this, I'm not going to hold it to the standard anymore of they're trying to make the play-in, right? There was a few losses there where I held it to the standard of, well, this game sucks because if they're serious about trying to make a play-in, you have to win a game like this. So I was holding them to a little higher standard. Some people didn't like that. Some people wanted to just sit there and say, no, the Cavs loss is a really good loss. And like Peyton Pritchard, man, he just made a bunch of crazy shots. It's okay that they lost to the Celtics. It's okay that they lost to the Thunder. The Thunder are a good team, good organization, right? And it's like, all right, fine. If we want to adopt that thinking, then that is, in my mind, giving up on making the play-in.
We lost to the top 3 title contenders, Tori.
Yeah, well, you're going to play a lot of good teams, and if you're okay with losing to all the good teams as long as you are somewhat competitive, guess what? Okay, you're happy with not making the play-in then, which is fine. Listen, I'm happy with not. If they don't make the play-in, it's fine. I'm with that. It's just, you got to win games at some point in order to make up a 5-game deficit. And the Blazers are not winning enough games. They have a lot of tough teams that they're going to face. So I just don't really see how it happens. They're 2.5 behind Phoenix right now. They're 5 behind Dallas. They made up some ground in the tank race. We'll look at that. But I'm willing to sit here and say this was a fine loss because I'm just not even going to hold them to the standard of a play-in. I don't think they're going to make it. So.
Yeah, but that's always been the case. It's just weird,
Yeah. Yeah.
And for the people that didn't hear this the last time we mentioned this, whether we wanted to root for them being in the play-in or not does not matter whether or not they made the play-in or not. So it's not like we can magically will this team to the play-in just by wanting them to be in the play-in.
Whatever I say happens, Kevin Knox, right, as an example. So it's my fault. You can blame me. You can blame me just like the stream. All right, you can blame me for everything, but just like the stream. That's all I ask if you're going to blame me. Trolling aside, shout out to Garrett Rodriguez for becoming a starter member. Thank you, Garrett. Welcome to the club. Appreciate you. Alrighty. Let me just get this out of the way before we break down players, Eric. You know that starting center for the Warriors tonight?
Quentin Post is who you're talking about.
Yeah. Just want to remind everybody that the Blazers traded away the 52nd pick to the Warriors for cash, and the Warriors drafted Quentin Post with that pick. So the Blazers gave away Quentin Post for cash considerations. Cash considerations. Like, why would we need another center? Well, I mean, we were just talking about how it'd be nice to have a stretch 5 behind Klingon just for more floor spacing because shooting's a problem with this team, and we have some decent defensive personnel, and it'd be really good change of pace to have a freaking stretch 5 behind Klingon, right? Well, there's a stretch 5. And he's playing minutes. He's starting on a team that is 12-2 with Jimmy Butler right now and has legitimate playoff aspirations. And he's starting for them ahead of Kevon Looney. But no, the Blazers traded that pick for cash and wanted to run it back with Chris Murray and Delano Banton and, Duop who now can't make a three to save his life. Jabari Walker might be a better shooter than Duop now all of a sudden. The Blazers wanted to run it back, even though you know what those guys are, instead of taking a chance with the 52nd pick to, find a guy like Quentin Post right now, because he's legitimately helping the Warriors when they're playing great basketball and look like one of the best teams in the West. So just another example of asset mismanagement and the Blazers caring about padding Jody's pockets and the cash considerations over the asset.
One Sport 3, who obviously hates you in chat, says that's hindsight, Tori.
I talked about Quentin Post before he got drafted, and also I would never support trading a second-round pick for only cash. What does that do for the roster? Please tell me. It doesn't do anything for the roster. It makes Jody a little happier, or whoever that money goes to, is funneled to, but yeah, no, you give up an asset that could be used to draft a gem. And that's the thing is, like, even if you don't have hindsight, there are gems taken in the second round every year. I mean, we literally have one on this team. Tamani Kamara was the 52nd pick the draft before. So we have Tamani going into this past offseason. We view him very highly, right? Big part of our core. We already knew that after his rookie season. And then we end up with the 52nd pick in the next draft, knowing how good Tamani Kamara was with the 52nd pick, and no, we're going to trade it for cash only. And then, oh, look, another 52nd pick ends up being a rotation player, this time on a good team. Well, it was probably a mistake to trade him for cash. And I could have told you that before the draft. Trading second-round picks for cash was never the right move, man. Never the right move. And the Blazers did not take enough heat for it. Because there's people out there, there's media out there that try and say that Jody Allen is not cheap. She wants to spend on this team. It's like, well, those are the types of chances you take. Listen, if he sucks, he sucks. Maybe you move on in a year. But you take a chance on second-round picks because they might end up panning out to be a rotation player or a Jalen Wells or a Quentin Post or a Tamani Kamara, for crying out loud. So,
especially with 3 two-ways now.
Especially with 3 two-ways. Quentin Post was on a two-way, played well enough that they signed him to a normal deal. They opened up a roster spot for him. So, instead of having 26-year-old Justin Minaya back on a two-way, you could have had Quentin Post. Instead, we valued cash over that. So, that was a mistake. That was clearly a mistake. And, yeah, Quentin Post is better than a lot of people thought. I don't know. I found him a little intriguing. I got to him late, but 7-footer that can shoot is always intriguing to me. So look, that's what he's doing right now. He's 7 feet, so he's blocking some shots, and he blocked 3 shots in this game, and he's making threes. And it opens up their offense, and it opens up the entire floor because you got to guard him at the 3-point line.
Yep. Yeah. Also, would point out that Jalen Wells was picked after our first second-round pick we traded away.
Yep.
He's going to be on the all-rookie first team. But, that's hindsight.
Yeah. Also, if we're gonna hype up our scouting department, they should. If our scouting department is really that good, they should be wanting to take those chances.
Also, we killed him at the time, so it's not hindsight. We also did stuff like kill them for not getting their own second-round pick back in the Dame trade from Milwaukee, which made no sense. They had the pick. There's no way we couldn't have gotten that in the trade if we demanded it. So, and you know what people said to us, Tori? Who gives a crap about a stupid second-round pick, right? And now these same people come in and be like, oh, you guys are just using hindsight.
Yeah. It's funny how that happens, Anyway, just wanted to get that out of the way. Shout out to Quentin Post making a name for himself in the league on a good team, man. It's always cool to see unheralded college players even. He played at Boston College. Boston College sucks. And he's making a name for himself. So,
but by
good
the way,
for him.
You're going to miss on more second-round picks than you hit on, but the point is...
You take the chance.
Taking the chance, because when you do hit on one, it is a complete game changer.
Yeah, because guess what? You're not going to get a good player by putting cash in Jody's pockets for second-round picks. The cash can't play basketball. The cash can't go out there and make threes. Quentin Post can. The cash can't. So, I know we've had a running joke here before, cash considerations, like sitting behind a podium talking like he's being introduced like a player before. Shout out to you if you know what I'm talking about, right? Those memes, those jokes. But that's the thing, they're memes and jokes. The cash can't play basketball, man. So, the only way I'll accept it is if Jody is donating that money to MLB to PDX, and we're able to get a MLB team in PDX. That's the only way I'm okay with it. It's the only way. Anyway, let's recap this game. So, player of the game poll was on Twitter. It was Denny Avdia in a runaway, which makes sense. So let's talk about him. 34 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists. He did have 6 turnovers, 2 steals, but crazy efficient. 11 for 15 from the field. So 34 points on 15 shots, Eric. 11 for 15, 5 for 7 from 3, 7 for 7 from the free throw line. He was phenomenal. He had 32 points through the first 3 quarters. This was an all-star caliber game from Denny Avdia today. Rebounding like a maniac, creating for others. Got sloppy at the end. Seemed like he got a little gassed. He played 41 minutes tonight. But man, I said this team's a different team with Denny Avdia on the floor. When the Blazers were on the floor, they only got outscored by 3 points against the Warriors. And this was a relatively healthy, minus Jonathan Kuminga and Podziemski. But, this was a Golden State team with Draymond, with Steph, with Jimmy Butler, with some other pieces. This was conceivably a much more difficult game than going on the road against the Thunder with them missing their whole starting lineup, or playing the Celtics with them missing Jason Tatum, Porzingis, and Drew Holiday, missing 3 starters. And the Blazers looked more competitive tonight than they did against the Thunder. And when Avdia was on the floor, they pretty much kept it even. So, it's funny because we talked about it last night. This team is just clearly much better with Avdia. And you get Avdia playing tonight, Jeremy Grant out, so they swap out Grant for Avdia. And they look better tonight than they've looked with Jeremy Grant and no Avdia. And we've seen that earlier in the season where the team clearly looks better with Avdia on the floor. And without Avdia, they look like a mess. So, he had a resounding statement tonight to back that up for me. His best offensive output of the year. What were your thoughts on him tonight?
Yeah, I thought Denny was awesome. So a few post-game shows ago, we had a conversation which you were saying he should get more of an opportunity at the end of games. But you also mentioned he looked a little gassed at the end of this one. Do you think that was just the injury, or do you think there's something to he kind of wears down a little bit at the end of these games?
He plays really hard.
Yeah.
He plays really hard. He played 41 minutes and he plays his ass off. There was a play where, I think he got fouled, or it was just a bad turnover, where they started pushing in transition and he hung his head for a second. And then he snapped out of it and sprinted back so fast to take away the lay-in. And I think part of why he was running so fast was because he hung his head for a second, then realized, no, I gotta, I can't let that become a fast break bucket because I'm hanging my head and not getting back on D. He sprints back on D. He sprints on O, you know what I mean? We've seen him, he's called Turbo for a reason offensively. He is battling on the boards like a maniac, 16 rebounds for the Blazers. The defense had a couple steals. He plays his ass off. If you play 41 minutes, you should be gassed by the end of those 41 minutes. You should be gassed because you should be playing as hard as Denny Avdia plays every night. That's how I would answer that. You're muted.
Omer had this pointed me to StatMuse. Denny versus Warriors, 34 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 5 3-pointers made. Joins Luka, Harden, and Boogie DeMarcus Cousins as the only person in NBA history with those numbers in a single game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a amazing stat line, man. It's one of the most impressive stat lines of the season. And he did it against a good team on the road with good defensive pieces. So, yeah. Ultimately, like, this is why guys don't average more than 36 minutes a game, because if you play hard, you're going to, those last 5 minutes, if you're going to play 41 minutes, that's just a little much in today's NBA. So, ultimately would like to round out the team a little bit more long term so that we don't feel the need to play off yet 41 minutes in a game like this. Now, given the injuries, I get it. But, yeah, I mean, how many minutes straight did he play in the fourth quarter is my question. Like, how many minutes did he play in the fourth quarter? I don't know. But it was a lot. So, yeah, he's going to be gassed. Like, if he wasn't gassed, it would mean he's not playing hard, to me.
Yeah. I don't think anyone should be playing 41 minutes, but we kind of need it tonight. But at least he didn't play last night, I guess.
Yeah, he played the entire third quarter. Okay. And then subbed back in with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So we got a 3-minute rest. He played 21 minutes in the second half. 21 minutes against a team that runs and plays at a fast pace too. I think he started to wear out a little bit, had a couple sloppy turnovers, trying to force passes. That's completely excusable to me. Because he played 21 minutes, was phenomenal, man. Anyway.
What's his 3-point percentage up to? Does someone have the math?
I can do the math right now. So before this game, he was 83 for 250 on the season. He is now 88 for 257, which is 34.2%. So he had been in a little slump there, and of course he's at the slump of the start of the season. Hopefully, he gets it up. But, I think he's just good enough where teams have to respect it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it feels like he has to shoot a lot of tough threes, or tougher threes than, say, a Jabari Walker or a Tamani Kamara. 34%. It's good enough. Would like to see it up to 36, 37 like it was last year, but it's fine. He actually now has as many made threes as he did last year, just on 22 more attempts.
Nice.
But true shooting percentage before this game was 58.4%. So, I mean, that's decent. And it's going to go up. So, free throw rate, 45%. It's just his ability to get to the line is it bails out this team of a lot of bad half-court possessions. And on a game like tonight, he got 7 free throws. So,
yeah.
Alrighty. Chat says Denny's an offensive hub like Luka and Jokic, just needs a consistent 3. I won't go that far to comparing him to those guys, but if he could do this every night, sure, we can make those comparisons because this is close to what Jokic does every night. But I mean, I do like seeing him play with the ball in his hands and be aggressive. I would like to see him be a little bit more consistently aggressive. And also on the season, he's only playing 29 minutes a game, right? Per 36, he's getting you almost 19 a game. He's getting you 8 boards. He's getting you 4.5 assists. Decently efficient, 58 true shooting. Those are good numbers. And that's with an awful slump to start the season as he was adjusting to being in Portland. So he's barely 24 years old. He turned 24 in January. Really excited for his future in a Portland Trailblazer uniform.
Yeah, me too. Nice that we have him locked up on cheap for 3 more years.
Yep. Other players in this game, you can pick the next player, man. Who do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the player who it used to be DeAndre Ayton. Now it's Donovan Clingan in my mind. The ultimate test of whether you understand the game of basketball or what you're watching. Because I've seen everything from Donovan was awesome tonight to this guy's a bum and shouldn't even be playing. We made a horrible pick and blah blah blah. Like what was he doing?
Did
tonight?
you see more than just the one guy in our group chat?
Yes, I've seen it in our in chat here. There was both.
Really? Who said that?
Ends of the spectrum.
Who said that? That's wild. Go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah. So the guy's impact is positive. I mean, you guys can say I'm biased or whatever, but I didn't even have Donovan Clingan that high on my draft board. Like, I'm not like a Donovan Clingan agenda person. Like, I'm not
who cares
trying
what
to
people say? Just speak your truth.
Bit a narrative.
Yeah, just speak your truth.
But like, like, so this isn't meant to be like mean to these people in chat or whatever, but like you see people in chat saying he's too slow to play in today's system because he can't get out and guard the three. But he's like contesting 3-point shots that none of our other centers or no center we've had in a long time has been able to contest.
He blocked 2 Curry threes. One of them was a foul called after he blocked it, which was BS. Yeah. He blocked 2 Curry threes. When have we ever had a center do it? Has Ayton ever done that? No.
Yeah. And a little bit of this is probably he's getting like, because like Nurk got this too, like because Nurk had problems finishing, and so then it was like became like people question his effort and stuff like that, or his like style of play or whatever. But there was a time in the third quarter where they were double teaming Anthony hard, and he was throwing it to Clingan at the top of the key, and he was making quick reads, the right pass, getting assists like crazy. He was we talked about this, I forget if it was last game or 2 games ago, where Anthony was getting doubled and he would pass to like Sharp or somebody and they would just slow it down and not create an advantage. Like Donovan was taking a dribble in and getting the offense moving before the double team could recover back to their man. So like he had a huge impact on this game if you were like watching for impact. And then like people always talk about his hands and his inability to catch. He's been doing a really good job of catching the ball when it's high.
Yeah.
The problem is he can't catch the ball low. A lot of bigs have trouble catching low passes. And there was a play last game where I forgot who it was. I think it might have been Sharp. Threw like a really nice wraparound pass to him, but it was like at his knees. And Billups was telling him at the next timeout, like, you got to throw that high. Like, why did you throw it at his knees? Like, just throw it up near the rim and he'll go get that.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of the issues is he's showing a lot of skills and a lot of ability to grab the ball and finish in traffic when the ball is placed in the right spots. If he has to bring the ball down or catch the ball low, he has a lot tougher time getting back to his shooting stance or getting a good shot off. And that's something that if you're a good distributor, you know that, and you try to set him up in the spots he likes. So maybe it's just an adjustment from our ball handlers to get the ball to him in better situations. But also, I am never going to fault someone for fumbling the ball on an offensive rebound in traffic. Like,
yeah.
So he created so many second chance opportunities for us in this game, and he's been doing that for a while now. And you can say he has block hands in some of those situations, fine. Like, but like, dude, he's hustling his butt off trying to work around like a bunch of bigs and trying to get in there and get rebounds. Like that's not something that he's like should be like docked for, like said he's like a bum who can't catch the ball or whatever. Like he's in there battling for those rebounds. And
he had 6 offensive rebounds tonight.
yeah, and so and his improvement around the rim and finishing and stuff, it's noticeable this season. Like he had several really nice finishes in this game. He's had a bunch of like wraparound reverse lay-ins lately. He's using his body really well around the hoop when he catches the ball.
I loved the play where he took one dribble going baseline to his right and jumped into the defender powered up and finished that easy. Like, because unless you're, I don't know, as big as Joel Embiid, at least, just, you know, he's going to power through centers if he can do that. And he's going to get free throws, and like if he adds that to his game, he's going to become a dominant force on the interior if he can just power finish like that. He just has to drill that, work on that, get used to that. He hasn't done a whole lot of that, and that's why I love that. I think that's a flash. He's a rookie. So, you know, flashes, you hope they become consistent, and that's one of the things where hopefully that was a sign of things to come. But go on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we talked about his conditioning a lot this season. Dude, how many minutes did he play tonight, Tori?
32 minutes. Apparently he's incapable of playing 32 minutes.
In the fourth quarter, he's still running the floor, getting the second half. He was getting a fast break dunk because he ran the floor well. Like he was rim running very, very quickly in this game, even late into the game. Still battling for rebounds and stuff. Still contesting that block shot he had on Gary Payton in the fourth quarter. You know, like, so, and he's shown when he plays minutes, it's not a conditioning thing. It's just it seems like it's a conditioning thing, but it's not. Like he's methodical, you know, and defense, like just his impact around the rim with his block shots, his ability to block jump shots, his communication on defense, his screen setting has been pretty good. It's just I don't understand what people are not seeing with him when they, like, I saw so many posts on Twitter like, see, like all you guys who said Klingon was better long term than Ayton are rethinking that now. I bet, you know, like that kind of stuff, and it's just it's weird to me. Like I don't understand.
You know what it is, Eric? It's people don't value the things that Klingon is good at as much as they value what looks good on a highlight tape.
Yeah, or box score, yeah.
Or box score stats, right? In box score stats, where are you going to look at first? Points.
Right.
All right. I mean, but he had 15 points today. I don't really understand what people were saying. It's like even if you look at the box score stats, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 blocks, no turnovers. +4, only positive on the team. 6 for 9 from the field, 1 for 2 for... Like, I don't know how you... If you're a box score watcher, I don't know how you look at this and be like, he played a bad game. You know what it is? It's like people care... Some people care more about the aesthetic of a big man than they do about the actual production of that big man, and then they don't know how to appreciate production in little ways, such as, oh, this dude sets really good screens, and somebody, you know, gets a wide open pull-up jumper off of it and knocks it down. And people don't notice that, right? They're going to notice, oh, man, DeAndre Ayton just hit that 15-foot fadeaway with a hand in his face. That was nice. That's what people notice, right? And then Ayton aesthetically looks like he has an easier time moving around the floor. I don't even think he moves quicker than Klingon. I honestly don't even think he moves quicker than Klingon. I think he just looks better moving. Because Ayton doesn't get out and block jump shots. Klingon does a better job getting out on the perimeter and defending jump shooters when he switched out onto him or has to switch out onto him than Ayton does. It's like people see Chauncey Billups dropping Klingon way off screens and then shooters getting shots and think it's a Klingon problem, but they ignore the fact that it's the same exact thing under DeAndre Ayton, and Ayton doesn't even make an effort to step out on those guys. Whereas Klingon does, and it's like, oh, look, he's late. see he can't get out quick enough, where Ayton just kind of sits around the elbow and will just watch somebody shoot all day. If Ayton gets switched out onto a guy, it's been a problem this year where, like, he'll just let him shoot, right? Or he'll just completely leave him. I mean, for example, when the Blazers were up 3 in the final seconds against the Suns and he got switched out onto Royce O'Neal and he just completely left him and gave him 20 feet of space and let him shoot a 3 to tie the game in the final seconds. The one situation where he should have been hugging the dude at the three-point line. Final seconds, you're up 3. You don't give up a 3. He just leaves them, right? So if you don't know what play I'm talking about, go rewatch the highlights of that Suns game that went into overtime. That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? But, he looks a little bit more mobile, so that's what people value. Like, we want a big that's athletic, that can move around well. It doesn't matter if he uses athleticism or not. He looks good moving around, and he looks good hitting these mid-range shots and these fadeaways and these floaters or whatever. And that's what people care about, because too many people only know how to appreciate the aesthetic of a player and not if they're actually producing and helping you do well as a team. And that's the difference, and that's the test that you're talking about for Donovan Clingan.
Perfect example, Tori, Robert, and chat. You said Ayton can't block three-point shots. Can Clingan drop 30 in a game? I think not.
How often does Ayton drop 30 in a game? How often does Ayton drop 30 in a game, brother? Here's the thing, is like, once a year? He drops 30 in a game once a year, and that trumps everything?
And
Eric, how does that make any sense? So a dude scores 30 a game like once a year, and nothing else the entire year matters. It doesn't matter if a big man plays good defense, because DeAndre Ayton's better because he scored 30 points that one time, that one year. If he averaged 30, sure, you'd have a point. But that's a terrible point, because he rarely scores 30. He's not a scorer like that. He's not no Nikola Jokic as a scorer. Come on, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, see, my thing is, I mean, in theory, a defensive impactful center should be way more important to the Blazers if you get the proper development from Scoot, Sharp, Denny, Tamani, those kind of guys, right? Like, we should have our offense. I would much rather have a guy who prevents scoring rather than scores 30 points a game, if that makes sense. So, yeah, ideally you'd want someone who is both, but like, Jokic is the most gifted offensive player, in the league, but like, is he like dominant defensively? I mean, yes, you take Jokic. I'm not saying you would take Clingan over him. But what I'm saying is, for like our particular team, and maybe this is a little bit still thinking in terms of like Dame offense, but like we don't necessarily need a big that scores 30 points a game if everyone else becomes the players that we think they're going to be, especially if Shea becomes like a 25 point per game scorer. Like, we don't need Clingan to score 30 points a game then.
Yeah. But you know what's funny to me? I just went on Basketball Reference, and I just compared their splits from when they play 30 to 39 minutes a game. Okay? 30 to 39 minutes. Now, Ayton has 2 games where he's played 40-plus minutes this year, right? But if we're just looking at games in which they've played 30 to 39 minutes this year, Clingan averages more points per game in those games. He averages 17 when he plays 30 to 39 minutes. So who's to say he's not capable of scoring 30? Here's the funniest thing about this year, too. Ayton's season high is 26 points. Ayton's season high is 26 points. Okay? Clingan has a 21-point game this year, and he only did that in 21 minutes. He had a 21-point game in 21 minutes earlier this year. So how can we sit here and like, Ayton's a capable 30-point scorer, but Clingan isn't? Yes, Ayton is a little better scorer, but my goodness, is that just completely devoid of context and just completely skewing what reality is.
Also, if you notice on these Denny Anthony drives and stuff, the paint isn't. They're not getting cut off at the free throw line because there's DeAndre Ayton standing right there.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, the casuals will care only about how many points somebody scores and not about anything else. And that comment is proving our point, Eric. That comment is proving our point, right? Clingan can play amazing defense, completely lock down the paint, get 15 boards. In tonight's game, he had 6 assists, no turnovers, right? Hopefully he turns into a floor spacer. He could do that as well. But if he's not scoring 30 points like Ayton did 5 times apparently last year, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Right? That's basically the IQ test. If all you're caring about is how many points somebody can score and that's it, you need to deepen your knowledge of the game. Like, sorry, it's blunt, but if that's all you care about, man, you got to care about more if you want to analyze big men properly. Especially a big man. If it's a scoring guard, okay, sure, fine. We're talking about centers. And we're talking about a center who this year has been a top 10 rim protector, maybe even top 5, depending on what advanced analytic you want to look at for Donovan Clingan. Our defense has been better with him on the floor. He sets better screens. He hasn't been given much of an opportunity, but I truly believe he's a better short roll playmaker, and he showed that today. Okay? I do think he does a better job of keeping teams off the glass. You know, the Blazers struggled on the glass today, but I think he's a more dominant rebounder. He had 6 offensive rebounds today. Right? All those things matter. So don't just completely ignore that because Ayton scored 30 points 5 times last season and has yet to do that this year. It's just strange to me.
As Michael points out, 6 assists for a big scoring under 20 is awesome. Yeah, like when you have a non-scoring big that's able to still get a lot of assists. I mean, like the Draymond that we played tonight is a good example of that too. Like it does provide a dynamic that if they don't respect your shot at all, but you're still impacting the offense, like that means you're a pretty skilled player.
Yeah, but like also, why the hell are we analyzing a rookie who wasn't drafted for his scoring ability based on whether or not he's capable of scoring 30 in a game right now?
Because like people don't understand or can't look at a box score and see how many times he deferred or deterred someone from driving to the basket or passing out when they would normally shoot a 5-foot runner or something like that. Or, you can look at blocks, but how many shots did he affect with his long wingspan and stuff like that? And his size is a problem, man. Like he's just big out there, and whether he moves extremely quick or not, like he knows how to use his size pretty well. And he's only a rookie, like you said. So like, this stuff's all going to get better, smoother, more consistent. If he develops any kind of consistent like post move or little go-to move, he can, when he gets the ball inside and doesn't have a clear shot right away, that'll be huge for him. And then also, he wasn't in foul trouble this game, but he's been in foul trouble a lot this season. So just learning how to play without getting fouls, also getting a non-rookie whistle might help a little bit as well.
Yeah, but I'll just say this too, though. Like this conversation, it just reminds me of what I can't stand, and that is, for some reason, I don't know. I'll just say a section of this fan base because it's not everyone, right? But there is a lot of this fan base that loves to just completely chalk up our players to being complete utter trash who can do no good, right? We've seen Ant get that treatment. I mean, we even saw some people give Dame that treatment, right? And I was like, we see some of it with Clingan, right? He can't score 30 like Ayton, where they just have the most insane logic to hate on a player. Where in the same vein, then the GM who puts together, assembles the roster and gives out all the contracts, he's devoid of all responsibility and he's great. No matter what. It just baffles me. It doesn't make sense to me, Eric. It does not make sense to me. What do you want Chauncey to do? His roster's trash, right? And if they start playing good, it's not because the roster is better, it's because Chauncey made them, right? There's a lot of people that try and claim that. And then, Cronin didn't give Grant that contract. Dame forced him to. It's all Dame's fault. We've seen that, it's just wild narratives from a large section of this fan base that drive me absolutely crazy. And this is why we talk about narratives, is because if you go online, if you go on Twitter, if you go on freaking Reddit, you'll see some insane stuff that doesn't make sense, man. And I'm here to hopefully explain in a way that makes sense why a lot of these narratives, some of the stuff about Klingon right now apparently doesn't make sense. Klingon is having a solid rookie year, and he is a rookie. Have some patience. He's already having positive impact. Like, this was from a rookie big man, anchor big man, to have 6 assists and no blocks, play 32 minutes a game and play them all hard. When people try and say he's incapable of playing 30 minutes, see, that's another one of those BS narratives. Played 32 minutes a game, no turnovers, hit a 3, right? He's shown flashes of being able to knock down a 3, just needs to continue to work at it, right? Like, everything Klingon's showing right now, going into the season, like, if you showed me this game from him tonight, before the season, I've been like, oh man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. He can impact the defense like that, rebound like that, right? Block shots like that, get out and block a Steph Curry 3, and then make a 3, and the power finish he had, and I just don't understand what people expected him to be when they drafted him, because it felt like there was no criticism of drafting Klingon. But now it's like the shine is worn off. I always say it, Eric. Once the shine wears off, then people start nitpicking and finding things they don't like with players, with rookies, when they should be more patient. And people were really hard on Scoot, and now it's like, of course, there's going to be people out there that are going to find ways to have an issue with Donovan Klingon.
It's also not Donovan's fault that we haven't gotten a star yet. Like, we didn't draft him to be our star player. Like, yeah. He's better off as a contributing piece on a good team. And this has also had to have been a tough season for him, because he's used to, I think it's all the way going back to high school. Like, he hadn't lost like a state championship or a college championship in several years. So, like, he's used to winning and has had to kind of adjust to being on a losing team as well. So, I feel like he's having a really big impact, and it's kind of going unnoticed by a large portion of the fan base, and it's frustrating.
See, there's comments like, this is the final time I'll address this guy's comments, because they just drive me crazy. Okay, so there's a comment. Klingon will get cooked in the playoffs. Guards will blow by his slow ass. That happens to Ayton, or he just gives up wide open threes. But for some reason, you don't have that same energy for DeAndre Ayton. People don't have that same energy for DeAndre Ayton. He can play terrible defense, and nobody freaking cares. And it drives me insane. But it's also like, how many times did Klingon get blown by a guard today? How many times did Klingon just get blown by where a guard had an easy layup because they were able to blow by him today? You're just inventing things. He got switched out onto Curry and was giving Curry a decent amount of space where Curry's like, all right, I'm open for 3, and then blocked it. Where if Curry drives at him, he's giving him so much space, he's not getting beat to the rim. No, like, people aren't beating this guy to the rim because he can drop so far off them and still block their 3-point shots or their jump shots because he's so freaking big. And he's dropped so far off that it's hard to beat him off the dribble because he can just, like, basically take 2 steps backwards and he can block you at the rim. Because he's so freaking big. So that's the thing, is, like, people just, oh, he's slow. Guards will blow by him and guards will just eat him alive. It's just not anything that I think is based in reality. Every big man occasionally is going to get beat off the dribble. Even the best big men, defensive big men in the league, get beat off the dribble by guards. Even guards get beat off the dribble by guards. You know what I mean? But I guarantee you, this guy that left this comment, if Klingon gets beat once off the dribble against a guard next game, it's going to be a, see, I told you, he can't do anything on the perimeter defensively. He's going to get blown by every guard in every playoff series and every playoff game ever. That's what it's confirmation bias. So chill on Klingon, man. I just don't understand. I just don't understand some of the criticism right now, especially when he's a rookie too. Like we're just nitpicking him when he played a freaking fantastic game, and is having a very solid rookie season. And some of those worries about him getting blown by a lot on the perimeter, I think he's put that to bed a little bit because he's done a better job than I thought of being able to defend the perimeter, take away the jump shot, and not get cleanly beat to the rim.
Yeah, and that's so someone asked me if there's some differences between him and Edie this year. And that's the huge difference. And I think this is why Klingon was the right pick over Edie is, obviously Edie's pretty skilled offensively when he gets the ball. But Edie is the type of center that will get hunted to death in the playoffs and might become unplayable for the Grizzlies. They've already had stretches this year where I've seen Grizzlies media say that at times that Edie has been unplayable due to them hunting him on pick and rolls and blowing by him. Whereas Klingon has not really had that problem this year. He's doing a really good job of recovering and staying with someone and getting to shots that it's just weird because like not a lot of Blazer players have been able to get to some of those shots he's getting to, and it's like he makes some of those blocks look really easy. And it's not perfect. Like we're not saying that Klingon has been like amazing and like can do no wrong or anything, but part of the problem is too. When I see this like stuff like, oh, you guys criticize Ayton all day. Ayton's in his 7th year on a max contract. Like he deserves criticism if he's not doing the little things that are needed to win games. And so like Klingon's a rookie showing improvement and getting better and already showing a lot of valuable traits that this team has been missing, that type of player. And so, I'm never going to get like overly critical of a rookie compared to a guy who should be miles better than him at this point. And I don't think anyone can argue outside of maybe a couple inches. Like there's nothing athletically like that Ayton shouldn't have an advantage of on defense, and yet Klingon's miles better than him on defense. So what excuse does DeAndre Ayton have when he gives up an open three or gets cooked by a guard when he's way more athletic and should be a much better defender, a switchable defender than Klingon is, yet Klingon's showing the ability to do those things when I didn't even think some of those things were possible from him, especially this early in his career, due to his size and kind of mobility issues and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, I'm cool with moving on from this conversation.
Yeah.
It actually annoys me. I'll be honest, man. It annoys me the way people talk about rookies.
It's because he shoots nice-looking middies, Eric. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, we gotta love those nice-looking middies, man. We all miss LaMarcus Aldridge, right? So, Ayton's the closest thing we got. Anyway.
All right, well, moving on. Anthony has his 4th 30-point game in the last 5. He's just getting insanely hot in some of these games, and
Yeah. He's been shooting the three ball well lately, which is good to see. It's, we talked about him last night about the long term thing. I'm not going to go there today. It's just like 1 assist, 3 turnovers, 2 rebounds. In 39 minutes, I give Jeremy Grant crap for that. I kind of feel like, man, I'm supposed to give Ant crap, but he played a good game. He scored the ball. That's what he does, right? I would like to see him, I don't know. Maybe his teammates just missed shots when he passed today. I would like to see him still set the table a little bit more than he has lately. The last 2 games, he had 1 assist apiece. Over the month of March, he's averaging 3.4 assists. So, he scored 28 points per game. That's the thing. His scoring is up massively. His assists are down massively. It's like, I guess this month he just said, screw it, I'm just going to go get mine, and he's having a good scoring month. The funny thing is he's only shooting, I don't know if this counts today's game on ESPN, but he's shooting 35% from 3, 46% from the field. All right, so it's like, it's solid. It's good efficiency, especially from 2 is where he's been doing some damage lately. Tonight, 6 for 10 from 3 did some damage from there. It's just, I don't know. Like, is that the mindset he needs to have, or it's just like, I'm just going to go score the ball no matter what, and that's the best version of him as a player? I don't know.
I think so. It's weird because if Clayton's in a short roll, Clayton got all those assists tonight, right?
Yeah.
But that's Ant passing him the ball into the short roll, and then Clayton's doing something from there. So not.
Yeah, but that's just Ant beating the double, right? Just making the pass out of the double. Compared to normally when you see guys scoring that much, you see them creating a little bit more for other players right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just bringing this up in terms of is this the mindset Ant needs to have, where he's just more aggressive with his own shot and doesn't look to set the table as much? Is that the best version of him as a player? Because it might be.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, the last 2 games he had 34, then 32, shot above 50% from the field in both games. In let's see, 75 combined minutes, had 2 assists. Eric, 2 assists. He had 66 points and 2 assists the last 2 games. It's just wild. But you'll take it.
Cam Thomas.
Yeah, he's Cam Thomas out here. You'll take it. Efficient scoring, high volume scoring. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's just different, because last year it's funny because people say he doesn't pass at all. But he averaged 5. What was it? 5 assists per game?
6, yeah.
5.5 assists per game or something like that. And in February, he averaged over 6 assists per game. And now it's his scoring's way up, his assists are way down. He's definitely being more aggressive, man. He got up 26 shots last game, 21 shots tonight. He's had 4 games of at least. He also had a 26 attempt night against Philadelphia and a 21 attempt night against Boston. But all these games, he's shooting at least 50% from the field, which is good. So,
yeah, no, when you score 120 points, I think outside there was that stretch in the fourth quarter where he missed 3 straight 2-point shots, which I felt like he kind of forced them. But I don't feel like 21 shots when you make 12 of them is a ton. I feel like he's not obviously he's being a ball hog, but I don't feel like he's complete, because Denny still got his 30 some. Sharp had plenty of opportunities to score in this game. Everyone else is getting opportunities too to score and stuff. I don't know. He was letting Denny get his when he was going. I don't.
Yeah, he'll get out of the way. It's just when he has the ball in his hands, it might be the best. It might be the best thing for him to just be super aggressive with his shot and not try so hard to be a playmaker for others, and just kind of accept what he is. Score.
Well, I think I know hockey assists aren't a thing, and I'm not saying he would necessarily, but I feel because Shea had 8 assists tonight. Klingon has 6. How many did Denny have?
Denny had 6 assists.
6 assists as well. So, like, I don't know. Tamani's had games where he's had like been our leading assist guy with like 5 or 6 as well. Um, I just think when this is when that word you hate, Tori, gravity comes into play. I think when
I don't hate that word.
I think it is, I think it is opening up playmaking for others. I do agree that he needs to like sometimes, like there was, and like pretty much everyone has had this recently, but there was a play last night where he took like a little 10-foot sidestep jumper and he had Klingon like wide open under the hoop, no one around him. Could have easily just thrown it to him to score. But like he made the shot. So like, it's just but I'd like to see him pass that one. So yeah, I'd have to go back and look at all his shots to see like who was open or if there's people open on his drives.
It feels like he's shot some tougher shots lately and made more tough shots,
right?
Which kind of goes into the mindset.
Yeah.
I don't hate the word gravity. The only time I don't like the word gravity is when people try and use it to make Ant sound like he's a legitimate star. Where it's like, if he is, then his production will match that, not just a gravity stat, a gravity metric. He does have gravity, right? It's, you got to be able to pass the ball out of a double as a scorer. We saw Sharp get doubled at half court and just completely cough the ball up. You know what I mean? Sharp hasn't really gone through the ringer with that yet. At some point, hopefully he will, because that'll mean he's a legitimate scorer. But yeah, with that, it just seems like he shot some tough step back threes that he's made. He made one last night that was like insanely tough. And it's like, all right, that is what he is. He's a scorer, And sometimes if you just are so insanely confident in your shot, you're going to shoot better and you're going to miss wide open teammates because you're just hunting your shot with confidence. And that might be the best version of him. Like not everybody can be Dame, who averages 32 and 8 at his peak, right? And that's what makes Dame so special, right? Some guys, they if they try and be too unselfish, they don't get in the same rhythm as a scorer, and they miss a lot of shots because they're trying so hard to try and make the right play that they're not shooting shots with confidence. Because it's, a lot of, am I shooting the right shot? Is there a teammate open? Like, I'm trying to see the floor. Whereas sometimes if he goes out there and has tunnel vision, he is locked in on the defender in front of him, and he knows what shots he can get to and what shots he can get off against them. And when he locks in that little one-on-one battle, he can score. And that's what he's been doing lately, it feels like. And it's not just that. Like, there's been some catch-and-shoot threes and stuff like that. But, I mean, he shot a couple step-back fadeaway threes with a double team, like, running at him, like, close to him lately. It's an insane level of confidence to even shoot those shots. So I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing. I don't really know what to make of it. I think it's interesting, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't talked about this in a while, but there was a time where we would defend CJ for doing this stuff because in the playoffs, you need guys who just get buckets sometimes. And that was one of the biggest reasons this team had no success after their Western Conference Finals run was CJ just like kind of fell off the cliff in terms of being that second guy who could create a shot other than Dame in that Denver series in particular. Well, the Denver series we won, he was phenomenal in especially in Game 7. But like in some of those in the next series against Denver, he was brutal and famously stepping on the sidelines and stuff like that. But like he just wasn't providing the secondary playmaking we needed and secondary scoring we needed. And I do find myself wondering how this team could manufacture some of these points if we just like, let's just say we did an addition by subtraction trade with Simon's type move. Like I don't really worry about how we're getting Jeremy shots, but like Anthony does create a lot of offense, and I do wonder how we're gonna make up for that when we ultimately move on from him.
Well, I mean, the answer to that I think is very simple. Continued growth by Sharp and Scoot, and then also you still need to add a star to this roster, most likely, right? Unless those guys ultimately hit their peak outcome in the future as a backcourt, you're going to need to add a star, right? So that's the thing for me, is not even necessarily about replacing it right now. Like, yeah, we get worse offensively without him, for sure. But you give Sharp more of those opportunities, you give Scoot more of those opportunities, and they're going to have some nights where you really struggle to score and it looks really bad, but I think ultimately in the long run it's a good thing. And then if they can't truly develop into a star tandem in the backcourt, you're going to have to add that player, which is why it's frustrating that the Blazers don't have the greatest lottery odds right now, right? Because if you could add Cooper Flagg to that, all of a sudden, long term, I'm not worried where our points are coming from.
Right.
And you got assets in the future that you can always trade for guys, and you can always... That's the thing, is you look at like what Zach LaVine got traded for this year, Eric. It's like you can always go out and find that player on the trade market, it seems. You can always go find a guy that can score the ball.
That's true.
So that's where it's like I'm not worried about it.
We'll be able to trade for Jordan Poole in a year.
God, no. Hell no, bro. Don't even go there, man. I never want that dude on my team. But, I mean, Poole's averaging almost 5 assists, you know? And he's averaging 21 a game. Like, he shoots some wild shots, but he might be more efficient than Ant on the season this year. Like, that's the thing, is their archetype is pretty similar.
You know the Wizards are 4-3 when Middleton and Smart play.
Yeah, I mean, that veteran presence, man. That veteran presence. It's actually funny how similar... the statistical production is between Poole and Ant. Like, they are a very similar archetype. Poole's, I think, making a little bit more. But yeah, you can always go find that player. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Ant. Really good game. Shout out to him tonight. He played some good basketball. He scored a lot of points.
Yeah.
Sharp, Eric, he started a new 3-point streak. But he was 1 for 4 from 3. And in the month of March, let me make sure these stats are correct. He is 8. He's made 8 threes. He's shot 36. He's 8 for 36 from 3 in the month of March. That's 22.2%. Okay. It sucks because in February he did shoot 35.5%. It's like, oh, he's finally at least, making some threes. He was 36% in January, 35% in February, right? So it looked like maybe there's a little bit of improvement there, but his shot has been awful in March. Awful. And it just kind of... These past couple of games, you know what it just reminds me of, Eric? It reminds me of inconsistent Shaedon Sharpe. Where he will have stretches of multiple games in a row where he just, for whatever reason, can't efficiently score the ball. And he's just streaky. He'll have these stretches like he did when he had that game against Philly. He was 8 for 17, 20, 11, and 5. And then that game against Boston, he had 25, 11 for 18, right? 18 the game before that, 25 the game before that, 36 the game before that, right? So 5-game stretch, he had 25 in at least 3 of the 5. He had 20 and 18 the other 2. He had 19 against OKC, and then the last 2 games, 12 points and 9 points, 4 for 11, 3 for 10. And it's because he can't make a 3. It doesn't really feel like he's as involved the past couple of games as he was. previously, because the last time he shot 10 attempts in a game was February 3rd against Phoenix. He only shot 5, and that was in 19 minutes. Every other game he shot at least 11 attempts, so he's not getting as many attempts up, but it's just like, it's also part of the, he's not being as aggressive. Now, he did have 8 assists, but he had 5 turnovers. He had some nice passes in this game, but I don't know, man. I don't know. There's just, for me, Eric, I don't know how to put my words on it, so maybe you can explain it better. There's just something a little off right now with his development, but I don't really know what that is. And I don't think his development is like going bad. There's just something a little strange to me. And I don't really know what it is. It just feels a little strange. Like some nights just the way he kind of disappears and doesn't make much happen is a little bit worrying to me now that he's in year 3.
Yeah, you got in the fourth quarter, you got the Scoot Henderson come in for a few seconds and then get taken right back out again.
Why does Chauncey do that, man?
Yeah, I think this is the problem with the 3 guards, and
Yeah.
Anthony's been playing well enough to where you can't justify at the end of games taking him out.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I think they should just say F it and play the 3 guards and in the clutch, and if they
happens.
lose, they lose, whatever. Who cares? Like, we still lost this game by 10. We lost to Detroit. Like, we're losing some of these games anyway. So just have them on the floor and see what happens.
But then you have to take one of Tamani or Denny out.
Well, I mean, like, Clayton came out of the game for a while, too, at the end. Why is Delano playing at all, by the way?
I don't know, man. It's a great question.
But, yeah, I don't know. It's just he's going to have to find a way. Like, and you know he's not like this. He's too passive. And you know it's that way because you constantly hear how Chauncey has to tell him to be aggressive and things like that from the broadcasters.
Yeah.
So he's just going to have to find a way to become that player. And I just, it's really hard for me to envision that. It's like we always talk about Ayton. Like, eventually he's just going to default back to who he is, you know? Like, it's hard to, like, be something you're not on the court. So, like, when things are going well, you're shooting well, you're going to keep shooting, and you're going to keep getting good shots, and it's going to look really good.
Yeah.
If you have nights like tonight where you're struggling shooting the ball, or like lately where you struggle shooting the 3, and you start missing them, like, it's just going to look like you're not in the game and you're not engaged and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how to fix that for someone unless they fix it themselves, or like, you know, like it's going to be something that he's going to have to self-motivate himself to fix. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is other than he just needs to play different. I don't know.
You know what it is? You know what, like, I'm struggling to explain? I think I figured it out. Like, there's some games where he just constantly gets to the rim off his own creation. It just, like, looks like it's super easy for him. Like, he doesn't even have to try, and he's getting to the rim off his own creation. And then there's some games where he just, like, barely does it. And it's like, why? I just don't really understand, like, why some games it looks so effortless and easy for him to constantly get to the rim off the dribble, and then some games it looks like he just can't at all, but it's almost like he's not even really trying to. Do you agree with that? Like, do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it just confuses me. And, like, maybe that is the personality. Like, I don't know. It just, like, ebbs and flows. The thing is like, if your 3-point shooting is more variable than somebody getting to the rim, in my opinion, right? And if the defense was completely loading up on him to take him out of the game and not let him get to the rim, where they were throwing 2 bodies at him, sure. But it's like, it's almost like there's situations where he would just attack somebody and find a way to get to the rim and score and have a 25, 30-point game. And then he'll be put in those same situations in another game, and it's just like he'll kind of take one dribble and then just pass it along. And it's like, man, what's the difference in these games? It's super strange.
I do wonder, like, if we were running a bunch of curl screens for him and off-ball action, like, it would probably help him get engaged a little more sometimes. Like, so I feel like just sitting him there and then him just waiting to get the ball, and then once he gets it, let's try to attack. Like, it's always the same every game, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, but I'd like to see them get him going, maybe run a backdoor lob design play every once in a while a little more, just try to get him going that way. So a little bit is coaching, I think, but
yeah, like I said, if you're starting him, I would start him off with a couple of curls and get him going early, get him aggressive early, right?
Yeah, for sure.
There's just some games where they don't really do that. But, like, also, it's just Shea needs to be more consistently aggressive trying to get to the rim, because it's just like, dude, you see Ant shooting all these crazy-ass shots, man, and it's like, just try and get to the rim, get to the free throw line, you know what I mean? Like, in a game like this, he should not only shoot 3 free throws. He's averaging under 3 free throws a game. It's like, you're a fantastic athlete that can get to the rim at will. Like, you got to learn how to get to the line more. And he just has to learn these things. He has to be more aggressive trying to get to the rim sometimes.
I forget what happened. I think we ended up scoring anyway, but there was that play where Lamar just got all excited because he thought Shea was going to poster him.
And I think he could. I think he could have
pulled back. And it's like, no, we don't want that, Shaden. We want I'm going to yam on these fools every time I get that opportunity, Shea. Like, that's the mindset we need from him. But, like, yeah, so I don't know what prevented him from doing that on that particular play. Maybe it was just
that looked like it would have been an easier dunk than the one in Washington.
Right.
You know what I mean? So right. I just don't understand.
But yeah, that's like the mindset, because like you're going to get fouled and get to the free throw line, like you said, more often than not when you try to dunk on people.
Yeah. So, or you know what? Go get rim checked. GP right. 2 weeks got rim checked and turned it into a falling down layup today.
That was so weird, but yeah. Yeah, I went because honestly, like, and this we talked about this a few years ago. We haven't as much lately, but it still applies to Anthony.
Yeah.
Like when you have the mindset that you're gonna attack the rim and go at the rim, try to dunk it, or at least get high enough to, light finger roll or whatever. Like that's really hard for a defender to not foul you in those situations, even when they go vertical. Because you're going at the rim and you have to go through them, kind of. So they have to go perfectly straight up and not bend their arms at all, not have their arms come down. I almost think he should just be driving into contact almost every time and just living with the results, learning how to finish through contact. But then also like accentuating the contact just to get to the line more often and get your points that way.
Yeah. Should I talk about this on air? Screw it, I'm going to. I got a comment in chat from, it's always Kenneth. Kenneth always has these type of comments. It says, Tori, I can't believe you're complaining about 34 points on 21 shots, really. So I assume that's a comment in relation to Ant? Was I complaining about Ant? I just pointed out that he had 1 assist. I also said it might be better for him to just be somebody that confidently hunts his own shot and doesn't focus as much on playmaking. I didn't even say it was a bad thing. A couple of you are so determined to make everything that I say out to be the most negative thing possible and the worst thing possible. I said it might be better for Ant to be more aggressive hunting his own shot because his assists are down, but his scoring's way up. That might be the best version of him. That's literally what I said. So if you think that's complaining, I don't know what to tell you, man. Stop trying so hard to take everything the most negative way possible, is what I would say. Anyway, other players, Eric.
Was pretty much just Dwop. I mean, if he's not going to hit threes, there's no point, right? Like he hasn't been hitting the threes,
especially when Jabari Walker is like maybe a 40% shooter on the season now from three.
Jeez, man, that guy.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
That guy.
So I'll do the math. So before this game, he was, let's see here, 20 for 56 from three. So now he's 23 for 59. All right. 23 for 59. Jabari is now up to 39% from three. Nice.
Dude, and if you said Jabari would shoot 39% from three, like, obviously that probably won't continue, but like...
Small sample, yeah, but...
But like, I think we'd all be really happy, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is he's made some of these losses look a lot better. Like if he was shooting like he's normally shot in the Boston game or the Warriors game, man, we're talking about like multiple 20-point blowouts.
Yeah.
He's kept these games respectable. He was 3 for 3 from three in 11 minutes today. Now he was a -9 in those 11 minutes, but you know, if he missed those threes, he'd be a -18. So yeah, he's shooting a great three ball. Duop just cannot buy a three right now. He was 0 for 4 today. Last game he was 1 for 8. And he's 30% before this game on the month. So that's going to go even worse. In February, in limited minutes, he was 29%. Like last year he was kind of our stretch 5 off the bench and he played more. But he still only shot. He shot 36% from three. 36% from three. But like his shot looks good. He's not even missing by much, man. He just can't get anything to go in the hole right now, unfortunately. So
yeah. I mean, he's not good defensively, so
yeah. And then Scoot today, 5 for 13, 1 for 5 from three, 4 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 steal. 1 for 5 from three. I think this is the first time he's had 2 bad games in a row in a long time. Maybe Boston and Philadelphia. He was 3 for 9, then 4 for 11. So he's in a little bit of a slump here in the month of March. In the month of March, he's shooting 39% from the field, 30% from three. But he's been so good that it's like we shouldn't worry about a 6-game slump. You know? Like, the thing is, I want Shaden to be consistent, and I view Shaden a little bit further ahead than Scoot. Like, Scoot, I expect there to be still some inconsistency year 2. He was really good in January and February, both those months for basically the entire month. He was bound for a slump at some point. And I think that's just kind of what he's in right now. He's been his dribble and like he's been fumbling the ball a little bit more. So I don't know why that's happening. I think I would just chalk it up to this, Eric. Like he's gotten better with his handle. He's tightened up his handle, so he's able to do some more impressive stuff with his dribble and be more under control. But there's still some work to be done there. So sometimes it looks good. You know, he has more good moments with his handle as a playmaker than he did last year for sure. But there's still going to be bad moments because it's still not fully where it's going to need to be long term, which is fine because he's in his second year and he's 21.
Yeah, not the greatest game from him. I always look at it, though. We shoot 5 times, make 1 of 5. If you just hit 2 of 5, you shoot 40%, and it's like, we're like, well,
he also made a shot with his toe on the line.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
he had a couple nice finishes. But still 4 for 8 from inside the arc. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, like you said, I'm not worried about him long term as much as I was heading into the season, and that's one of the best positives of this year. one of the best developments of this year.
Yeah, Andy's played better as a starter. If he gets a chance to start next year, like if that translates at all, he's going to look good. And we're not going to be worried. So, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm not worried about his 3-point shot anymore. He's made enough progress this year, and he's still shooting the ball confidently. The form still looks good. He's not missing by much. He's barely missing. Well, he did have one that he missed long. He occasionally he'll have a bad miss, but it's not as bad as it was last year, right? So I'm not going to worry about the jump shot. He'd have to really struggle the entire season at this point for me to start worrying. Yeah, he's still 21. So growth is not linear. Sometimes growth is a bumpy path, man. And he's having a little bit of a dip right now. The past 5 games he struggled, but that's fine. He's shown enough progress this year. I'm happy with it. And if anything, struggling at the end of the year is just going to show him what he needs to work on in the offseason. And he can go into the offseason and work his ass off like I think he did last offseason. So, yeah.
Yep.
But it's funny because he's had bad games like this, but he's been the biggest plus Vitus. Today he was not. It was the opposite. That just shows you how different that can be. But, he's still defensive activity is good, man. I love the way he's might be the fastest Blazer with defensive rotations right now. At least he flies out on his rotations, man, and he has some really good 3-point shot contests. There's one today they made. Like, the defense has been a positive too, and his effort on that end has been good. And he's not getting cooked by anyone. So on nights where he doesn't make shots or is a little sloppy with the ball, at least you can count on him to give you something defensively as well. So,
yeah, except for tonight he gambled a couple times for steals and got out of position and they scored on us. But other than that, yeah, I agree. He's been much better on defense this year.
Yep. Banton 0 for 5 in 7 minutes. I mean, I agree with your sentiment. Why you keep playing this dude? He comes in the game and in 7 minutes finds a way to get up 5 shots and miss them all. He's going to walk in free agency and it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, but maybe the Blazers give him a, $10 million a year contract. Wouldn't that be a Cronin thing to do?
Yeah.
And then Tamani tonight. What's funny is we didn't even mention his poster dunk from last night. There were people trying to say that was better than Sharp's dunk. Or maybe you did, but I didn't talk about it. There's no way that's better than Sharp's dunk, but that was a great dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more on the defender.
Defender was under the rim.
Defender,
yeah.
But yeah.
But it was a great dunk. It was a great dunk. Don't get me wrong. Poster. Isaiah Stewart, too. Good guy to poster. Tonight, 1 for 6 from 3. Tamani is starting to...
He's streaky, man.
Yep. The last 5 games, 1 for 3, 2 for 8, 1 for 6, 1 for 2, 1 for 6 from 3. That's the problem, Eric. I think we got a lot of guys that are streaky from 3. We need 1 or 2 guys that can consistently knock down threes. And of course, every good shooter is going to have their off nights. It just feels like our guys that are capable of making threes are streakier than normal, Sharp feels that way for sure. Scoot feels a little bit like that. Tamani feels like that. Grant feels like that now. Right? Simons is our most consistent shooter. On the season, we're 26th in 3-point percentage. This team needs shooting, inconsistent shooting, in a bad way. That would help them out a lot offensively. That would help out their spacing. That's why you should not... Well, they're going to have Chris Murray next year, I guess. But unless they trade him. Chris Murray's spot should go to a shooter. Where the Blazers draft, I am completely fine with Klonkanippel. I think he can be adequate defensively and maybe do an okay job of guarding multiple positions. Solid secondary playmaker. Good passing feel. He's not going to average like 7 assists per game or anything, but can make the right play and can really shoot the 3 ball. It's a valuable role player and would fit a need on this team and would fit a role with this young core. Like, legitimately, if you're not confident you're going to be able to get somebody that you feel good about becoming a star with wherever the Blazers draft, then that's when you say, okay, who fits in like a glove with our young core? That would be a Con Knipple type of guy, in my opinion.
Yep. And speaking of Con Knipple, let's take it.
Yeah, that was a segue, Eric. That was a segue to Tankathon. Now, the good news is, the Blazers are only half a game behind 8th. 8th is actually San Antonio right now. 9th is Chicago. They have a different win percentage. That's why it's not a tie. But San Antonio plays Dallas next game. They lost by 4 tonight, so the Blazers could be in 9th. Chicago's won 3 games in a row. Let's take a look at Chicago's schedule. Chicago's next game is versus Brooklyn.
Nice.
Then they play at Houston, tough game. But then they play at Utah, Eric. So a couple winnable games here. Down the stretch, it gets a little tough. You got, Phoenix has been playing better. Sacramento, the Lakers twice, Denver, OKC. You got Dallas, Toronto in there. That game versus Portland is going to be a massive tank game, most likely. And then they got Charlotte, Washington, Philadelphia. They got a decently easy schedule, it seems like, the rest of the year. So,
Doubles.
I can actually remaining strength of schedule.
Great win by them today.
Yeah, they have the 23rd hardest remaining strength of schedule, so they have an easy schedule the rest of the way. Meanwhile, Portland has the 9th hardest remaining strength of schedule. So, that's good news there. San Antonio, where's San Antonio at? Unfortunately, San Antonio's right in the same boat as Portland. Portland does play San Antonio again this year. That's going to be a huge tank game. Now, Portland did gain a game on Brooklyn today. They are 5 back of Philadelphia, 5 back of Brooklyn. Brooklyn's going to be next to impossible to catch, but they do play Chicago. If Brooklyn beats Chicago, Portland loses their next game, you're 4 back. Like, maybe, if you really suck the rest of the year and only win like 2 more games, maybe Brooklyn could rattle off 8 wins. Probably not. That would basically mean they're 500 the rest of the year, or 8 and 10. 8 and 10 the rest of the year. Can they go 8 and 10 the rest of the year? They got Cleveland. Yeah, yikes. Chicago, winnable game. Bunch of non-winnable games. Dallas, winnable with their injuries. Toronto, winnable. Washington, winnable. Dallas, winnable. Toronto, New Orleans. Yeah. 8 is the ceiling. I am comfortable saying that. 8 is the ceiling. I'm not even going to pay attention to Brooklyn unless the Blazers get within 3 games.
Yeah.
But you're only half a game behind 8th, and look at this odds. 26%, 6% chance of the number 1 overall pick. At 10th, they have a 13.9% chance and a 3% chance of the number 1 overall pick. So it doubles.
Mm-hmm.
It doubles. Also, if you're picking at 8, like if you don't move up, you're still picking a couple picks higher. So maybe you can get maybe you get a Trey Johnson, Maybe, Derek Queen could fall to Portland. That could be a Portland pick. A fun Portland pick. Although the Blazers need shooting, so I don't know. But let's simulate it. Let's scroll up from the bottom. 14 is Atlanta via Sacramento. 13 is Dallas. 12 is Houston via Phoenix. 11 is Miami. 10 is the Chicago Bulls.
Let's go.
Portland has moved up into the top 4. 9 is San Antonio. 8 is OKC via Philadelphia. So Brooklyn has also moved up into the top 4. 7 is Toronto. 6 is New Orleans. And 5 is the Washington Wizards. So you got Charlotte, Utah, Brooklyn, Portland. At 4 is the Portland Trailblazers. At 3 is the Brooklyn Nets. At 2 is the Charlotte Hornets. And at 1 is the Utah Jazz.
Frickin' Utah.
Frickin' Utah keeps winning these things, man. Keeps winning these things. So are you comfortable at 4 of just saying you take whichever one's left of Harper, Bailey, and Edgecombe?
No, because I really like Trey Johnson too. So
Who would you take Trey Johnson over?
I don't know. I think it's close between him and VJ, and I think it's becoming close with him and Ace too.
I take Trey Johnson over VJ. Or no, not. I take VJ over Trey Johnson.
Yeah.
VJ gets to the rim a lot more and a lot more easily, and has shot a good 3 ball the second half of this season. Where Trey struggles a lot more to get to the rim.
Yeah.
And I was looking at stats that back that up. I don't know if you saw those stats. I think they were posted in our group chat. I just trust VJ to be able to get to the rim more.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
And he's shooting 36% from 3 and 78% from the free throw line. That's not... Trey Johnson's a better shooter, but I think VJ's a good enough shooter with the rim pressure, with the defense too. I would take VJ Edgecombe over Trey Johnson.
Yeah, I don't think that's
He might be a better passer too. A little better passer. But Trey doesn't have as much around him. So that's the tricky part about evaluating those guys. I do like Trey Johnson. If he can get to the rim, he has star potential. I think VJ and Trey Johnson have star potential.
Yeah.
I just think VJ has a little higher floor and a little higher ceiling. So we can do a chat poll, though. That'd be a fun way to end the stream.
Measurements might be interesting if Edgecombe's 6'3".
Yeah, I think he's going to be 6'3". But Trey Johnson, I think, is also... He's listed as, 6'6"? Yeah, he's listed as 6'6". I think he's going to be 6'4".
Yeah.
6'5", 6'4" and a half. I think Trey Johnson is an inch taller than Edgecombe. So, maybe an inch and a half. So, yeah, measurements will be interesting. But chat, who would you take right now? I'll do a poll. Just leave a like on the stream so we can get to 200 likes. We're at 171, which is phenomenal. Good job, chat. Proud of you.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. I got to start doing the polls for the likes. It works, man. It works. But leave a like on the stream. Easiest way to support the channel. Who would you take right now? I assume it's going to be Edgecombe, but I want to see the percentages. All right, there we go. Chat, vote in the poll. I say VJ Edgecombe. Who would you say right now? Because you said you would consider Trey Johnson, but that wasn't a hard yes.
I think I'd take Trey Johnson right now, even though I love both of them.
You always like the shooters, man.
Yeah.
You always like the shooters. It's funny because I was doubting VJ with how he was playing at the start of the year, but then he really turned it around, and now I'm all aboard, man. I'm all aboard.
Hey, man, I'm not doubting VJ. I'm just saying I think
you're the VJ hater now.
Trey fits our team better. That's how close they are, in my opinion. I think Trey, I could see him.
Yeah, but we're not drafting for fit there. We're drafting for who's the most likely guy to become a star.
But I'm saying I like them both a lot, and so yeah.
Yeah, I just think you gotta be able to get to the rim, and the way Trey Johnson struggles to get to the rim doesn't give me as much confidence. His first step isn't quick. And he's not a physical driver either. so he can get bumped off his drive a little bit easier. I think that's why he's struggling to get there. He's doesn't have the quickest first step. The threat of his shot is phenomenal, but like he doesn't have the quickest first step, and then he can get bumped on drives and can't really turn the corner. So that's what worries me about him. Alrighty. Interesting chat poll. 59% of the vote say VJ Edgecombe. 43% say Trey Johnson. All right. So, schedule coming up. We have a post game on Wednesday. On Wednesday, after the Blazers play the Knicks at home. That'll be an interesting one. And then no game until Sunday. No game until Sunday. So, the Blazers will have 3 days off, which will be nice, before they begin their gauntlet of the rest of the regular season schedule. Anyway, Eric, it's been a good post-game show. Is there anything else?
No, I just want to thank all of you for tuning in and watching. Appreciate you all. And hope to see you guys on Wednesday after that game. And then Thursday for Blazers Uprise Live in the afternoon. And those will be our only streams till Sunday.
Yep. So enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully we can catch you on a Wednesday or Thursday. If not, make sure you tune in for that Sunday stream, because that'll be we'll talk a lot about March Madness probably on that stream, because that is Selection Sunday, one of my favorite days of the year. So I'll have a bracket video that day before the game starts that you can watch. That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to March Madness. If you want to join my $20 bracket pool, message me on Twitter or Discord. Anyway, we are out of here. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the post-game show. We'll take a look at what I wanted to look at on Wednesday, because I forgot, to be honest. So appreciate them for sponsoring the stream, though, as always. And we'll take a look at odds to win the finals, because we haven't taken a look at that in a while. I think there's a couple interesting lines on there that I want to get to next stream. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Links in the description. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram. All our social medias are linked in the description box below. You can join our Discord as well. Our Discord link is linked down below. And our second channel as well. We'll stream there on Thursday. We'll pick Thursday's games and talk about the hottest Blazer topic. Leave a like on your way out of here. Easiest way to support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we're out of here. The Blazers lose. Denny Avdia returns, looks good. Simons is a scorer at heart. Klingon, stop the hate. He's playing great. He's a rookie. He had a phenomenal game today, and he played more than 30 minutes because he actually is capable of doing so. But the Blazers lose nonetheless. We'll see if they can gain ground in the tank race coming up. And until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!